Hello. You may have once again noticed that the background is different. Once more. I finally started actually recording stuff for the online course, so this is like the big fancy official background. Funny story, one of the reasons why I had needed to change this was because I had the tapestry in the back, right? It was off-center, but I also realized I'm a pale person, right? Like, if I switch the camera on my phone too quickly, I will overexpose the camera, kind of thing. So the black background, or not black, dark blue, navy, whatever, dark background, was kind of it was creating too much contrast, and the camera could not handle that. And I think that's why, you know, things weren't as balanced as I'd like them to be. So that's one of the reasons. Today is log 29, I think. Yes. Oh, it's gonna be a big 30 tomorrow. Big 30. It's day 5, I believe, of week 4. And, ladies and gentlemen, like 2 minutes ago, I think I put the puzzle pieces together, I think. So let me set the scene. For the most part, I had a lot to do today, right? I had a big fat project that I was kind of behind on, like a lot. Like, I really underestimated the amount of work that I had to do, but I stuck to my timers. I slept in crazy late, though. That was not part of the plan. But I mean, it was a weekend, and I think I needed the sleep. It was really nice sleeping in. It was so... yeah. So we stuck to the timer. Only worked an hour straight maximum, I think. Might have been an hour and a half, but still, there were the appropriate break times. And the day felt like an actual day. It didn't just feel like a trance where I'd spend the whole day. I'd wake up, jump into the portal of laptop work land, and then I'd jump out at 9 p.m. and realize that I should have eaten something. No. I was a person the whole day. I took breaks and I did things that a person would do. I was making good progress. I kept my head on straight. I wasn't zoning out too much or losing focus and making silly mistakes. I was proud of the work that I had done today. I mean, it wasn't as much as I know it could have made. But truthfully, if I did push myself, I would probably just make 2 or 3 more videos and they would be decreasing in quality. So the payoff here is huge. I just don't feel it yet because it's out of habit. But yeah, in the middle of the day today, I went and got some coffee. And I went to a bookstore and I bought a book for myself. I saw a sci-fi book that was written by an author that I like, and I was just thinking about how much I used to love to read. Like, you'd find me in a corner, and I'd just be lost in one book after another. Granted, a lot of them, there could have been some external factors involved in that, but I mean, for the most part, like, I loved reading. And it's a shame. I'm bummed that I don't really have a book that I love, that I'm like sinking into every week. But then again, I mean, my work has taken over my life and I wouldn't have time to read, and if I was reading, I'd feel guilty about all the work I'm not doing. Which brings me to my point. This week, right? It's about integrity. There's supposed to be some big fat identity discovery. I think the book had said grappling with a new self-identity and applying it, kind of thing. And throughout this journey, I've increasingly become more strict on my limits of personal work and my enforcing of rest. You know, de-workaholic-ing. I thought those were two separate journeys. However, I really struggled with breaks today. Especially near the end of the night where I went out with a friend, right? I went out to see some music and it was really fun, but it cut into the last 2 hours of my work time, I think. And when we got back, it was past 9 p.m. and that was my cutoff. I felt unsafe, honestly. I felt so anxious and stressed and guilty, I guess? Not even. It was, just some sort of vague fear of unrest. Because I know I didn't use my work time to the maximum capacity. I didn't optimize every hour of my day. And for the entire rest of the night, it's 2 a.m. by the way, I was playing games with friends, right? I did end up editing a YouTube video after at like 9:30 to see if that would make me feel better. Even though it was like, no, you know what? I got out of the shower at 8:58 and I was like, there's 2 minutes left! That counts! That still counts! And then I slapped together a YouTube video, and granted it was still posted by 9:30, so, you know, it took a little more than 2 minutes, but it was like withdrawals or something, but yeah. My go-to break after art, or after any kind of work, is watching something, or reading something, or reading. And, you know, since this is the week of reading deprivation, I'm stuck. I can't draw. I can't watch something. So what do I do? So then I usually just sit there floundering with my heart in my throat and my resting heart rate way too high. And my mind is spinning and I'm just... yeah. I spin out and it's... I was getting so mad at myself for not making progress in that, and then also not having some new identity epiphany or whatever. So my rests usually became doing artist's way tasks, and those don't seem to be being really helpful this week either. So by the end of tonight, I was sitting there, right? Eating rice pudding. Because that was the special treat I got for myself last week. I got my groceries. One of my favorite childhood treats is rice pudding with a little cinnamon on top. So I got a little case of those. And I was sitting there. And of course, I decided to use my newfound knowledge of the power of friendship and such, which is still a recent development for me. I talked to my friend, who is also, she's wicked smart and amazing and super cool, but is also a little bit of a workaholic. So I said, I am so tired of feeling useless when I don't do enough work, when I feel like I don't do enough work. And she gave me her 2 cents and I was like, yeah. And it helped a little bit. And then a minute later, less than a minute, the puzzle pieces fit, right? 2 things became 1 thing. I've made my entire identity my work. I've poured my entire heart and soul into my work. And now that I'm forcing myself to do it less, and I can't do other work as rest, because that's also what I do for fun, and I can't numb out and watch something which will inspire me to do work later, I'm aimless. Yeah, I mean, I know that's kind of like the artist's thing, and I kind of just chalked it up to, oh, you know, when you're an artist, like your passions, they kind of just consume you. Like that's just what being an artist is. You live life differently, and you just always think about your craft, and you live through your work. I don't know, I thought that was, you know, what the deal is, and all of the best artists waste away over their work. Yeah, and it might also be influenced by the fact that most of my favorite characters, characters in books and movies and shows, they're usually the type to lose themselves over their craft and like push things too far. You know, like, yeah. Black sheep, mad scientist type vibes. Now it's the chicken or the egg question. Did I start liking them first because I admired that, or did I like them because they reminded me of me? Did I start acting like that first, or did I see that first? I don't know. That's not a question I'll be answering tonight because it's 2 a.m. Yes, so the point is, I believe the rediscovering of integrity type deal is figuring out who I am outside of my work. And to give myself some credit, pouring my heart and soul and my everything into my work was a survival tactic. It was a defense mechanism or whatever for some pretty crappy years. Art was like my lifeline, man. That was my heart and soul for the longest time. That was my escape. And now things are so much better and things are great, and the work ethic, if you could call it that, is sticking around, and it doesn't need to be like that anymore. So now I have to loosen up, you know, ungrip, and, you know, just be a person outside of my work again. Jump out of my little escape and be a human who does things besides work. And the occasional play. So I am so incredibly relieved that I think I found that out. I think my whole chest loosened when I thought of that, and I had like a oh moment. Thank goodness too, because I haven't been able to breathe freely for most of the day. And I was getting mad at myself for that too. Woo! Fun times, fun times. But today, I think that was a little bit of a breakthrough, I believe. Because I'm trying to think like, no, I know who I am outside of my work. But then every time I try to think about what I like to do and how I would describe myself without involving art or music or writing or any of my other passions, I'm coming up blank. Well, not entirely blank, but there's a big gap there where I'm pretty sure other, like, human activities are supposed to be. So I think for the rest of the week, for the other 3 days of week 4, I'll be figuring that part out. Oh man, I'm so glad that this week actually did something. I was so afraid that I was making zero progress. It was like a dam, you know? The pressure was just building and building and building, and I was like, I'm not moving, I feel like I should be moving, and then, pfft, I think I figured it out. And I didn't have to take it out on my body though, jeez. feel like all my muscles were tensed for like 2 days straight. Instead of, you know, letting it out emotionally like healthy people. But hey, one small victory at a time. We are taking this. And I'm going to draw a little, I think. Just a little. Because it is 2, and I do still have work to do tomorrow, but you know what? Maybe I won't. I mean, I had said last week that I wanted kind of a no work day every week because it felt so amazing last time, and I just felt so refreshed and wonderful. But the deadlines. I mean, there will be a massive snowstorm tomorrow. Ideally. It's the first time I've heard the weather service mention a blizzard in my area in years. So I'm kind of excited. Yeah, I love extreme weather. Granted, I don't love the disasters and the destruction they cause, but there's just something so fascinating about extreme weather. Like, that's so cool. Nature's so cool. Yeah, maybe I should get back into my science shows and the other things I'm interested in. Yeah, we'll be doing a lot of self-discovery and soul-searching and stuff. It's gonna be so hard trying to figure out how to do this without using like a screen, though, and like doing the reading thing. Because I did say I bought a book today, but I will not be reading that until next week. We're following this. Oh man. You know, it said that the book did say that for this week I'll probably feel like I'm in limbo. Like, the metaphor they had used was a person after a car crash where they don't have a vehicle or a destination yet. They're just walking around in shock. I feel like that's gonna be the vibe tomorrow. But hey, the crash is over. I was bracing for impact and now it's over, I think. So, yeah, let's check the time. How long have I been talking? Oh, that's not too bad. Okay, I thought we were gonna go like 30 minutes. It's not even 20. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I've been ignoring all of my other interests, my other hobbies, and myself for the sake of my work, my artwork. It's been like a toxic relationship almost. My life was taken over. And at first it was for a good reason. We'll see how this cooks in the brain overnight. And I really hope that I continue to move forward with this because this might actually change my life. Alright, well. Very interesting 2 a.m. conversation. And I will see you tomorrow. Oh, one last thing, and I really mean it's a short, small thing. It's like 2 sentences. I'm on task. I just did task 5, I believe, out of 10. So we're more on track than last week, which is good. But I'm pretty sure some of the tasks already involve doing things I should have been doing for the whole week. So maybe I should just read everything on the first day of each week. I don't know. But we'll see. Week 4, and as you can see from the background, it's very appropriate, everything changing. We are learning as we go. So, best way to do it, honestly. See you in log 30.